So it was a story of how he met his wife. She was the smartest woman I ever met, and I can't believe she married a dummy like me. Isn't that cute?
Venmo requested 5 cents.
I mean, it probably felt mortifying in the moment.
Oh, it was so
It's
embarrassing. So embarrassing.
But who is he to talk? He's a failure. That man belongs in trash. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, welcome to Honey Hearts. I'm Sandra.
And I'm V.
Today we have a few very exciting stories revolving around money.
Oh.
So money can be a little bit tricky of a topic, but it's a common issue that we come across.
Let's do it.
So first story is from a different subreddit. It is from r/TrueOffMyChest. So this is not a rate who's the a-hole, but it's just an OP telling their story. So True Off My Chest. My wife got promoted again, and now the income from my career has gone from trivial to utterly inconsequential in our marriage.
Oh.
At the same time, my contributions to the domestic side of the relationship are also being phased out. So right off the bat, we kind of feel that OP is a little bit worried about their importance in their relationship. So my wife and I have been together for over 25 years. She's been working her way up the corporate ladder almost that entire time, and I've been towing the line as a teacher, with my real job being to take care of our own children and house, so she could focus on her career. And it's paid off big time. For the last several years, she's been a department head in charge of 85 to 120 people from across the world. She Zooms with them all day and checks their work. For this, she makes $310K plus bonuses.
Wow, good for her.
Impressive.
Good for OP. Yeah.
Meanwhile, over the same time period, my income has gone from $38K to $55K. My bonus each year is usually $100 to $200 in Starbucks gift cards from the parents. On Monday, my wife got called into the big office for a talk with her boss. She's getting promoted. She was 4 promotions away from CEO. Now she's 3 promotions away.
Wow. Well, good for her.
Yeah. Her raise is more than my annual salary. Her bonuses will now be twice per year, not just at Christmas, and both will be larger than my annual salary. Whoosh.
Oh, from the way OP's speaking, I'm getting some vibes.
Yeah. Her new position starts next Monday. The paychecks should reflect it by mid-June. For years, my income has just been going into our retirement account anyway. Smart move. But that's already bloated. My continuing to contribute to it is like adding drops of water to a swimming pool. It's inconsequential. I enjoy my job, but it all feels so pointless now, and my domestic responsibilities are also dwindling. We've hired a housekeeper. 2 of my children are grown. The 3rd one is a teenager and doesn't need much from me anymore besides money. I'm only in my 40s and already feel like I'm done with everything I'm supposed to do in life. I don't want to retire yet though. Even if the money I make from teaching is inconsequential, at least it gives me a reason to wake up some days. Edit. Since this seems to be blowing up, here is some information you may find interesting. I teach at a small school in an affluent community with tons of parental support. My job is incredibly easy. Most of my students are above grade level and eager to learn. My largest class is just 22 students. I'm not one of those teachers who hates their job and has to deal with crap from students all day. Also, my wife has anxiety issues and struggles to sleep without me by her side. I literally have to be touching her back for her to fall asleep properly. We haven't been apart for a single night in at least a decade because of this, so I suppose I will always serve that purpose in our relationship. Hey guys, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button below and help us get to 5K. It sounds like he doesn't feel very important anymore in the family.
I feel like he should bring it up to his partner, his wife, and really talk about how, talk about his feelings, because I think they're valid.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I'm worried that if he, even though he's getting off his chest here through the internet, that's not the same as living it every day. And I think if he doesn't, he keeps containing these feelings and not letting his wife know, he's gonna blow up on his wife one day. Because I feel it heading in that direction.
A lot of times you might hear, if they feel not important in the family, they might want to seek somewhere else to feel important for.
Yeah, look elsewhere, different avenues.
I wouldn't say that you're not important anymore in the family. I feel like you played a very important role to get your family to where they are today. It sounds like you guys are in a great place financially. You contributed to you and your wife's retirement accounts.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to provide for your children. You did your job like raising them. Right now, you're in a great place to do something different for yourself.
And here's the thing. I think this is going a little bit against the grain, I think. But your job doesn't define who you are as a person, right? And your value. I mean, it's great that OP enjoys his job. He's a teacher and he loves it. And I don't think that, sometimes monetary compensation does not equate the importance of your job, right? Like, teachers are very important roles. And I think it seems like, okay, they have a great financial plan going. Like you said, if it weren't for OP, providing that support emotionally and at home, like with domestic affairs, and even through his job as a teacher, I don't know that his wife, would feel, confident to move forward. Like, I think they're a partnership, right? This is a team effort. And I think his wife's success is like a shared success. So I can see that he feels like, okay, maybe it's rough because a lot of times, I think in the US particular, now assuming OP is from US, as he's, typically a lot of Reddit story users are from the US. So I'm just assuming here. But I think there's like an overinflated importance placed on our jobs as part of our identity. Like when you meet someone, it's like the first question that comes out. It's like, what do you do? I do XYZ, my job. Like, what are you?
That's what I was saying. Like now they're in a comfortable situation where he has the privilege and, chance that they earned to pursue a passion.
Yeah.
I think OP thinks he's not that important because like he's a teacher but only has 22 students. Still, you make a difference to those 22 students. And it seems like their parents appreciate you. They give you a Starbucks gift card. So you're doing something right there.
Yeah, not all teachers get that.
Yeah. I think that if it was the other way around though, right? It might be a little bit different. Like if, the husband was traditionally making more than the wife and the wife was the homemaker. I don't know if they would have the same kind of like
conflict, like
concerns,
the sense of feelings,
like if the wife was, and just as like a stay-at-home wife or like a homemaker, would experience when the kids grow up and they don't need you that much anymore and you don't really have to worry about money right now, then I think you could just do whatever you want. Like find a different passion, build your identity. Like it doesn't stop with the kids growing up.
Right. And your identity isn't limited by that either. You're not just a husband. You're not just like so-and-so's partner, right? You're not just a parent. You can, I think now that they've gotten to this point, perhaps, I don't know, maybe OP and his wife might want to consider something like even taking some time off just for themselves to build on the relationship. Because I'm
like
imagining
travel or even like stay at home and relax. It seems like her job is very stressful. I mean, definitely talk to your wife and let her know that that's how you're feeling. But I'm pretty sure what she would tell you is that she couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah. And it's both of you that made it, this family the way that it is. So I feel really sad for OP to be dealing with this alone.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that he doesn't fester his feelings and just bottle them up, because at this point I worry, because I've seen scenarios like this where if one partner feels kind of undervalued or kind of valueless in a relationship, they kind of end up turning on the other partner. So I really hope that this doesn't happen.
Maybe
here.
Resenting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like kind of like, oh, like, well, you're doing so much better, kind of like a little bit from jealousy, a little bit from like projecting your feelings of inadequacy.
That's where like I think communication would come in play. And honestly, like if you think couples counseling or couples therapy would help, maybe you can go there. And honestly, maybe with all the stress that wife is experiencing with the new changes, maybe her own individual therapy. But I think like this is where they will have a better chance of like talking to each other, and maybe she has concerns, like maybe she wants to scale down, or maybe what if she feels like she has to pursue this,
like the pressure of being like the main,
like the next level and the next level because she
main
said
provider.
She would do it. Maybe she needs to hear from you that it might be okay if she doesn't. Maybe you guys can work out where you want to go from here now that this part of your life is settled. Sounds like.
Yeah, I think beyond kind of approaching, what they have to do as a couple, I think it'll be kind of not soul search, but needs to find in himself like, look, beyond these things, like, who am I? Like, what do I like to do? Like you said, pursue different passions, whether that be, I don't know, potentially a new job if you wanted.
Yeah.
Or commit to full-time homemaker. I don't know, whatever he wants to do.
It's like a really good position to be in, honestly, for especially in this economy. Like,
and in their 40s, so they're still relatively young, so they still
you're still young.
do
you
different
can do
things,
stuff, experiment, explore, and I'm sure your family will support you in it, just as you supported them, and up to this point. Let's see what the comments say. So, comment says, I know you may feel obsolete, but this could be a great opportunity for you if you look at it from a glass half full. You have an opportunity many people dream of. You can continue supporting your wife's success, but you now have the ability to pursue anything you dream of. Continue teaching if you wish. Always wanted to be a principal? Go for it. Want to try your hand in construction? You've got the time. Want to learn a new language? Take classes. Want to work to fund a passion project? Absolutely. Do something you love. Do something that brings you joy, because I'm sure your wife and children would love to see you thrive. You may not be the breadwinner, but you are the backbone that made your family's success possible. You've done a selfless thing here, and it's hard watching everyone make it and you still feel stuck. But sir, you have exceeded expectations here. Be proud. Now make time for you. You deserve it.
Oh, that's such a lovely comment.
You've done your part.
Right.
I'm pretty sure your family appreciates you for it. Now you have the freedom to pursue something else you would like. Definitely, I think learning a new language would be interesting.
Yeah. I just think like this is, like I said, like I'm echoing the comment, like very fortunate position to be in, especially in this current like condition.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like I see this as an opportunity for OP. It may not feel like it, of course, like in OP's shoes, but I think, this is something where maybe he needs to kind of sit down, think about what matters to him most, and think about, okay, how can I kind of be different, do something different, or maybe kind of figure out where's my place in life at 40.
I mean, thinking about OP's character from what he's written, it sounds like he likes or is at least good at taking care of others.
Yeah, like being a provider.
And a guidance, like source of guidance, for his kids, for his students. I feel like you can do a lot with those characteristics. Passion project or a volunteer work. Like, there are people who will need your help and service if you do look into it. Lots of programs where you can, travel abroad and help children over there, or, something that it sounds like OP is looking to feel fulfilled again. Right? And I feel like projects like that might help him feel like more fulfillment.
And I think that's something kind of important for him to realize too, is you're never gonna win if you attach, the importance of your role to your job's either prestige or monetary value, because that's something you can't really control, like unless you switch careers or something. But even then, it's not like you can control, for the most part, what the market rate for teachers is, right? So it's a losing battle. So I would highly instead look at yourself and your role from the eyes of the people around you who love you.
Yeah, and for the people you're helping too. How are your students perceiving you? I'm pretty sure you are important to them in their lives. Like, I know as a student, I looked up to my teachers and professors and took from them, what I learned. So
I think I still remember, it's like there are still lessons that I remember, not necessarily specific academic things, but even life lessons I learned from certain teachers that I felt were really great at their job.
Do you have one to share?
I think, okay, well, there is one. And this is one of the teachers I had in high school. And he was a history teacher. He taught U.S. history. And I remember, I always did so well in his class because he never taught history from the books. So he taught it from, he would kind of, say certain things. He would add kind of a twist to it to make it more memorable. And it would sound more like someone's storytelling rather than someone droning on from a textbook. And he just really loved his job.
That's really fun.
And so he had this one story, and I felt like it wasn't meant to be a lesson, but I took it as a lesson because it was so impactful. So it was a story of how he met his wife. Yeah, it's really cute. So I'll share a quick summary with you guys. Is basically he was, ironically, as a teacher, he was horrible at school. Like, he was on the no good road. Like, he was kind of like just, failed out of school, didn't do that well.
Okay.
So, generally nice guy, but just wasn't a school guy and just, in his own words, not going anywhere in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, he meets his wife, right? He meets his wife. He's around like college age, but he wasn't going to college. And he basically kind of brings her flowers and is like, will you go out with me?
Aw.
So, I mean, he was pretty old, okay? So things were pretty old school, I guess, in his day. So he brought her flowers and said, gave her compliments and said, can you please go out with me? And she said no.
Oh.
And she said, not until you get your degree. Not until you get a college degree. So he literally revised his like perspective. And I want to, from his words, it wasn't because all of a sudden he had a dream of becoming a teacher or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was because the girl that he was into said, we can't date until you get a degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
That does sound old school, but so like
so cute.
romantic.
Yeah. It was so cute. So he went and he actually did it. And he, in his eyes, he's like, I don't think she expected me to actually do it, but I did. And they ended up dating. And she was a nurse at the time. She was a nurse. And so they ended up dating and eventually getting married. And then he found his passion in teaching and ended up becoming a history teacher.
Wow.
Isn't it cute?
That's a really cute story.
Yeah. And to this day, I think, to this day, he talks about her all the time.
Aww.
I remember in class, he always talked about, it's like, my wife, or share funny stories of him and his wife. And how, it's like, he'll correct jokes and say, yeah, she was the smartest woman I ever met. And I can't believe she married a dummy like me.
Oh my God.
Really cute. And he spoke of his wife with such kindness and joy that I think to me at the time, even though he's a history teacher, my life lesson that I kind of took from that is I would never want to be with someone who didn't look at me in the same way. Who didn't love and find warmth in my presence the same way he did with his wife. For me, it's fairy tale or nothing. I'd rather be single.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny that we take these life lessons from school, but they're not related to the subject.
It wasn't history lessons.
So I have a shorter lesson that I learned in high school as well. So in high school, I was in the orchestra, right?
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how I ended up in orchestra because I played the bass, the double bass. It's huge, right? It's people call it the giant violin.
You don't have to lug it around. I've
Yes.
always wondered. Oh.
But I got the privilege of using the school's elevator.
Oh.
Though there were a few times I had to use the stairs, and that was not fun because we were on the 3rd floor. So I didn't even know what a bass was when I entered high school. But by the middle of freshman year, I started lessons. Don't ask me. I just when I decided I want to try something, I just went into I walked into the music room and I was like, hey, I want to play the piano. They're like, we don't teach piano. I want to do the violin. If you have no previous violin experience, then it's too late to start. And then I'm like, can I play cello? And they're like, you're pretty tall. Do you want to try the bass? And that's how I started playing the bass. Anyways, so
I feel like you kind of embarked on high school Sandra went on a random side quest.
That was all freshman year, right? And then so by the end of freshman year, I was in the chamber orchestra, and then by sophomore year, I was in the full orchestra, and then by junior year, I was the assistant principal, and then I became principal. Anyways, and I entered not knowing what a bass was, but during one rehearsal, when I was first starting out, there was a senior who was our principal bassist, and then there was me and another kid, right? And me being really shy and not confident at the time, the way I played, I hid behind the principal bassist. So they played louder, and I just kind of played really quietly because I'm if I make a mistake, I don't want anyone to hear it, right? The conductor stops everything because he notices. And which was the head of the music department, he was also our conductor, and he was like, principal bassist, don't play anything. Sandra, let me hear you play.
Oh.
And I was
nerve-wracking.
Squeak, squeak, tiny little squeak, 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 because I was not confident, and so I took into hiding behind the principal player, right? And then he said, you cannot hide behind the principal. Like, you need to play louder. Like, I don't care. Practice whatever, but like, you should also be doing your part instead of hiding behind the lead. And from then on, I don't know, something in my brain was like, no excuses, like pull your part.
Aww,
like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, pull your weight. No excuses. No one else is going to cover for you. And there were times when he was like not there for practice because he was sick or not in school. So I was like the next one. And if I didn't play my part, it was going to affect the whole orchestra.
Aww.
So from then on, I was like, yeah, I gotta pull my weight.
Oh, that's such a good. I'm glad he called it out. I mean, it probably felt mortifying in the moment.
Oh, it was so
It's
embarrassing. So embarrassing.
But I feel like he kind of gave you like an important lesson.
Yeah. And like, honestly, being an Asian school, Asian student, like Asian girl in school, I think the default is shy, quiet, whatever. Yeah. And I think from then on, like, being called out for it, because when you're like shy, you're like, no one sees me, no one notices me. But then he saw it and called me out on it. I think I took that as like a life lesson. You can't hide behind others. If you want to succeed, you kind of just got to do the work too.
You know, I feel like, okay, kudos to all the teachers who genuinely love their jobs and take it to heart that they're teaching people. Because sometimes we've all met teachers like this, right? There are some teachers that you just feel like, oh man, they're really here just to get that like paycheck and leave. Like, they could care less about your future. They could care less about you as a person. And there's like, they will never be sympathetic to your circumstance or like try to help you beyond like what they're required to is in their job description. And I feel like kudos to the teachers who kind of, I think sometimes don't try to just slap things down and try to kind of educate, like truly educate.
Yeah.
Because I think honestly, it's a big influence, like on hundreds of people. Because when you think about how many people teachers come into contact with at a young age, like it's a very impactful role.
For sure. I remember teachers, their impact on me more when I was a younger student than like as a college student.
Yeah.
So OP, you do play an important part in someone's life.
We're proof. Teachers are important.
Your students will remember what you taught them. So I know that was like a longer, different story. That was a true off my chest story.
We're so cheesy.
That was very cheesy. But I don't know. I feel a little heartwarming, right?
Yeah, it was nice. I forgot about that story until kind of that like OP's like off my chest story kind of like triggered it.
I kind of like how these stories, like other people's stories, trigger memories that you kind of forget about, because I forgot about that embarrassing moment, but now I guess I remember it.
Do you still play the bass?
No, but I always tell myself that I should probably buy one and play it again, because I was really into it. Like, I even played it for a few years in college too.
Aww.
And I was the only bassist.
It's a commitment, you guys. Like, the bass is like, okay, I feel like not many people know what it looks like.
Huge.
It's like a giant picture of normal violins like this size. The bass is literally like
dun 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 dun. Yeah. Yeah. I will say, not to toot my own horn, but I then
I
became
like a musical pun.
assistant principal bassist or assistant bassist. Yeah, assistant principal bassist for the city. Like,
that's so impressive.
The city orchestra, like the city high school orchestra. And I was like 1 point away from being principal. I'm still mad about it.
That's so impressive though.
Yeah, and then I did win some jazz awards, because then they got me to play in jazz band too, because they needed a bassist because the other bassist graduated. So suddenly I had to learn jazz. Then they got me to play the bass guitar.
I feel like this random like side quest, like think I never knew this about you. Like, I knew you played the bass, but I never knew Sandra like.
And I won some awards for the rhythm section.
Ooh,
just like little. I'm not the best. Ooh. I wasn't the best. I practiced a lot. Yeah, I should probably get back into it.
I think you should.
You should get back into violin.
Oh, I don't know. See, for me, it's interesting because, okay, I play violin, right? But my story is not nearly as heartwarming as yours. My story is like in elementary school. For whatever reason, I guess my teacher at the time went, she looks like she'll be good at violin. Let's put her in it.
How did they determine that?
I don't know. They kind of selected a few random kids from each class. Like, I think it's like 3 per class.
Uh-huh.
And they went, she looks like she could play the violin. And so all of a sudden I was slapped into violin class. And I did not enjoy it. Well, for the most part, I don't know what it is. I don't enjoy being told to do things without a reason. So I think I saw it more as additional work rather than like a fun new activity.
I was told to do better, and I was like, okay.
Our response is me like, why do I have to do this? And you're like, yay, new thing. But I learned it. I took it for a few years, and then one day, I don't know, I kind of snapped, and I was just kind of like, I'll be honest, my first year of violin was kind of dreading it and kind of doing as little as humanly possible. And my teacher was kind of like, like she didn't say it, but I could see in her eyes like the spark of teaching, just like spirit, just like dwindle.
Oh no, you were that student.
I was that student.
Aww.
I was like, I will do the bare minimum in this class because I just don't like it. And then I guess I snapped one day and it was just like, I wonder if I could be good at this, like out of curiosity.
Like a new challenge, right?
Yeah, I was like, okay, why not? Like I have to lug this thing around. Here I am complaining, lugging a violin, which is like this size, right? When Sandra's over here lugging this like human-sized instrument.
Yeah.
And so I took it, and then in middle school I was in orchestra, not by my own choice. They just learned I had learned violin, and that's when I was like, oh no. And they're like, oh, do you want orchestra?
Oh, because the one teacher was like, I think you'd be good in it.
Oh no, I mean, here's the thing. I did learn to enjoy the violin later on because then I could play different songs for leisure, and it's a very beautiful sound. Like I love orchestra music, classical
we should
music.
Play something together.
Wait,
I don't have a bass right now.
I have a violin, but I haven't practiced in
ukulele.
Oh man, I have to brush up on my skills if I'm gonna learn. But like, I do want to learn again. I even got my violin retuned, guys, but then I didn't touch it for like 3 months. So I probably have to get it retuned again.
I could tune it for you.
I'm always scared. I'm a chicken. Because retuning, guys, is when you kind of adjust the strings and tighten it.
The string will snap.
Yeah, because I don't store in the best place either.
Oh.
So I always... There have been times, okay, orchestra people or people who play instruments will yell at me. There was a time where I may or may not have left my violin for a year in a basement where it was chilly. And the strings got all loose and like basically kind of unusable. At that point, like the string kind of like messes up and you can't really like just fix it again. So yeah, it is on my list though. One day.
Yes.
Maybe next year I will try and practice it more because I do miss it.
Maybe I'll buy the bass. It's expensive. A good bass is like thousands and thousands of dollars. Like a cheap one is like $1,000.
I was gonna say you should travel to Vietnam and get it. Instead, it's cheaper there. But then you have to lug it back.
Yeah. How will I get it? It's huge.
Can you imagine putting that
there
in your
are people
checked-in?
like when you travel with the bass, like if you're on the trainer or something, like sometimes you have to buy a ticket for the bass because it takes up a whole seat. Yeah. I've brought the bass on a bus before and I got like the nastiest looks.
Oh man, that is a struggle.
Because I was blocking the way. And then I had to lug a bass guitar and that's heavy. So
what the heck is a bass guitar?
It's like, an electric guitar, but then like there's the bass version.
Oh, like is it called a bass?
Yeah.
Electric guitar.
Oh. Yeah. So that's heavy too. But it made me look cool. Cooler than I really was. I was not cool at all.
You were cool.
No, I was not.
I mean, Miss, what is it? Assistant principal to
moving on. So next story. All right. But seriously, moving on. Okay, next story is from r/Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he's too broke to be sexist?
Oh, shots are fired. Okay.
Throwaway. So my husband comes from a, quote, traditional family. Mom's a stay-at-home mom. Father was a sole provider. I come from the opposite. My mother pretty much forbade from ever being financially dependent on a man and drilled that into me early on. My husband worked hard to unlearn the values he saw replicated at home. He, often more than not, pulled his weight at home, was an engaged and present father and a genuine partner. The one thing that grinds my gears is how much weight he puts on the opinions of his family. I get that we all want our parents to be proud of us, but this is too much. My in-laws are staying with us for 2 weeks. Our usual MO is I prep breakfast, we all eat lunch at work/school, and my husband makes dinner. We have a cleaner, but she's on holiday, so in the meantime, we're DIYing the cleaning where it's down to everyone to keep their space clean and common spaces we all clean. This is how we've always done it, and it works. My in-laws hate that I'm, quote, one of those modern women. They hate that I work. They hate that I don't find my purpose in being a wife and mother. And they hate that my husband pulls his weight at home. We spoke pretty frankly on where I established my boundaries and told them I won't be chastised about how I live my life in my home. When I'm a guest in their home, I accommodate their ways and play the daughter-in-law they wish I was. They have, for the most part, respected this. I got home yesterday after work, tired and starving. I typically get home 18:15/18:30, which is like 6:15, 6:30 p.m. And we eat at 1900, which is 7 p.m. I said quick hellos and ran up for a pre-dinner shower. When I came down, I went to the kitchen to help set up for dinner and found nothing ready. I asked my husband about it, but he wouldn't look at me, and his mother answered that he hadn't cooked anything. She told me I needed to do my duty as a wife and cook for my family. My coward of a husband still wasn't looking at me. I feel your stress.
I'm stress sipping on this tea right now.
I just walked away and ordered takeaway. I dished up for me and my kids, and we sat at the table to eat. My husband and his parents served themselves and joined us. My mother-in-law was still going on about what was wrong with me and why I was a failure. I asked my husband if he had anything to say. He said his mother had a point and it wouldn't hurt if I acted, quote, more like a proper woman, and, quote, took better care of my home and children. He said tradition was tradition for a reason, and it was kind of insulting that I thought I was too good for how he was raised. This is where I might be the a-hole. I told him tradition won't allow a man on $35K to support a family of 5, and he was too broke to be sexist. He looked hurt, and I saw tears welling in his eyes. He excused himself from the table. I regret saying this in front of our children, but him saying that to me after I'm busting my butt to clean up his mess on top of having to deal with his parents was too much for me. Am I the a-hole? Whew, calm down. Okay, no, don't calm down.
I apologize, OP. You have married a coward. Where do we even begin here? I feel like I need to bring out the pitchfork or something. Like, brush the pitchfork, like, polish it a little.
To be a... What is it? Mother-in-law's like,
woman.
Oh, I hate that you're a modern woman who, like, works and shares half the duties of a marriage. Like, husband, do you have something to say? No,
Nothing?
My mom has a point. What?
Like, I'm sorry. I hate to drop the D word. Grounds for divorce. He can't even stand up for you in front of his mom.
Like, my concern is, like, is that what he really believes? Like, does he really believe
Does he internalize that?
Yeah, like, does he really believe that you are not, being a proper wife because you're working and doing half the duties of the household?
Like, I feel like that is so... like, coward is like the nicest word to describe OP's husband right now, because it's not like he was forced into this arrangement. They clearly had an arrangement.
And it was working.
Until his family decides to poke their nose in and say something about it. I cannot believe the audacity the husband has. Not just like, okay, if you're too chicken to defend your wife, say so. Just say so, right? But the fact that now, like, you didn't have the guts, even if he did believe this, right, about this whole traditional wife thing, he benefited from this arrangement.
Yeah.
You eat the food, like the food that you buy, a lot of it is funded by your wife's hard work and money. So
do you think that OP was an a-hole for calling out his salary and saying that he was too broke to be rude?
No, because it's relevant here.
Or to be sexist?
Oh, yeah. I think he's way too broke. Like, I was going to say he's above his pay grade. He's operating way too above his theoretical, like, dreamland ideal scenario pay grade.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to lug that around and be like, no, then you got to accept all sides of that so-called fantastical scenario in which you're the breadwinner and your wife takes on traditional role. Because tradition is, okay, she'll make all this. She'll be the homemaker. But are you going to be the provider then? Because you can't have both worlds.
And, like, to provide for your children and wife, like, can you afford that on $35K? Like, not to knock your salary, but realistically, you just can't afford it.
And then what's even weirder to me is he has the audacity to wield that around, like, as some sort of barrier of defense against OP. But I mean, who is he to talk?
Tradition.
But who is he to talk? He's a failure by tradition standards then, right? You're a failure. So who are you to mock your wife?
Yeah, and mother-in-law needs to butt out of it.
I am so disappointed.
Like, sorry to say, but your son cannot uphold your tradition. He can't afford to.
If OP is a failure, then what is OP's husband?
Yeah. And here's like a side note, but I noticed that OP said she ordered takeaway for the family when she noticed that husband didn't prep dinner as their routine called for.
With no notice, too.
It seemed like she ordered enough for husband and mother-in-law, too, because they were helping themselves to dinner afterwards.
So that's funny. They'll eat on her dime, but they'll kind of insult her for making that dime.
Yeah, like I doubt husband's money was used to pay for that takeaway.
I think that's grounds for divorce.
Dropping the D word. Yeah.
Because I'm like, that man belongs in trash. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, I think this might be a case where you're like better off without him. If this is truly what he believes, like in his very soul, he thinks his mother-in-law is right, then I just think this is like, you could even divorce on grounds of like just bad chemistry or whatever. But I don't know. I just can't live with someone who really believes it. Like,
and who really sees me, your own partner, that way. That's hurtful.
Yeah. It's like, was he feeling this the whole time and not telling her?
And then maybe he just didn't have the guts to say it.
Yeah. So he is a coward of a husband. I'm glad you recognize that.
Although, okay, here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
The in-laws don't seem like the nicest people ever because, okay, you're at someone's home, they're housing you, and you have the audacity to criticize how they're affording to house you and feed you.
Is tradition also rude? Like being rude to your host?
You know, that's my pet peeve. When people wield like tradition around in order to further their own, like, I'll be honest, disguise their own ugly intentions.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that they did not live those traditions. And like most people do not live those traditions. And you're going to tell me like they're all wrong?
Like traditions work until it doesn't, right? There's a reason why people have changed lifestyles. Like, have you seen this economy?
Why does it sound like mother-in-law is the type to be like, if OP was truly a traditional wife and lived off of her son's dime.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like she'll say like, oh, you're just a gold digger, or
you
contribute. Yeah, you contribute nothing to this household.
All you had to do was clean the house and you couldn't even do that right. Oh, like you didn't even take care of the kids correctly. She feels like that type of person.
Yeah, someone who will never be satisfied. Comments say, not the a-hole. I get you want to present a united front to the kids, but he said that about you in front of them, and that is not an idea you want taking root in your children's mind. He was banking on you bowing to peer/family pressure to get away with the disrespect of you and your family's normal way of division of labor. He gambled and lost on that, and I am really proud that you did not bow down just because his parents were there or that the kids were in the room. Too many people let things like that slide so as not to upset the apple cart. I've never heard of the apple cart.
I've never heard of the so-called apple cart. I mean, I get the idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like rock the boat, like so people don't rock the boat, but it's like the apple cart.
That's a cuter version.
Yeah.
This is all on him. He decided it was better for him and easier for him to risk your feelings than stand up to his parents. He chose to upset you versus upsetting his mother. I honestly would not have let them have any of the takeout food. I would have probably taken my kids and left to have dinner with just me and the kids.
Yep.
Same.
Bye.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that reminds me about the kids. The comment about, like, I embarrassed in front of our kids. I'm like, he embarrassed her in front of the kids first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the disrespect, kids see that. Kids pick up on that.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with this comment. Like, you don't want to influence the kids to believe that the mom or the mother-in-law and their father is correct in that
you don't want to raise them like that.
Because honestly, if they hone in on that mindset and they start believing that, they're not gonna be able to afford a marriage, let alone like their own lives. Like they won't be able to afford a family with that mindset, because nowadays you need like a 2-income or dual income household.
I felt all the frustration in that.
The next comment's pretty long. I'm just going to summarize it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that a-hole, your husband was indeed a coward. He has been a willing participant in your marriage all along and has gamely contributed to the agreement you have that works for you both. It was incredibly hurtful of him to not uphold his own decisions nor defend his wonderful partner of a wife to his parents. When the shit hit the fan, he failed to hold up, and that's a really sad realization for you. What you said might have been hurtful and cutting, but it was the truth and only came out because he said, also in front of your children, that you weren't a proper woman and didn't take adequate care of your home and children.
Don't dish what you can't take.
Mm-hmm.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. This is exactly it.
Yes. Oh, you remember that quote. With this next story, I mean, it's not the lightest, but it's also not the heaviest. So let's just see what you think about this. Let's get into it. So this is from r/Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for calling my friend stingy because she asked someone to Venmo her 77 cents?
The anger just left my body just like that. It went whoop.
Right? So we're dialing it back a little bit. Anytime money is exchanged or she pays for something, Nadine will immediately Venmo request us for the exact amount owed. If she does it immediately, then she does it pretty soon after, like maybe a day. None of my other friends are like this. It's usually, quote, I got lunch, can you get the coffee? Or, quote, I got the drinks last night, can you do dinner tonight? And it's always been fine. Most of my friends and I are in the same income bracket, and Nadine actually makes a little more than me, but by like $2,000 a year. So she's not like richy rich. Well, last week, me, Nadine, and Chloe were at a used bookstore. Chloe and Nadine had gone out and gotten coffee before, and Chloe said she'd pay Nadine back. Nadine wanted a copy of The People We Meet on Vacation that was like $2.50 or something. So Chloe said she would get the book to pay her back for the coffee. Nadine said, okay, and then you can Venmo me for the rest. The rest was 77 cents, not even $1. I said, quote, are you serious right now? It's 77 cents. Nadine was in fact being serious and said it's 77 cents that she owes me and I'd like to be paid back. Chloe and I locked eyes for a second and Nadine saw and said that we're not entitled to her hard-earned money. I said, no, of course, we're not entitled to her money, but it's 77 cents between friends and that I do not have any other friends who do this. That it's not like we're running up a tab, but it's just how friendship works and that it makes her seem kind of stingy. I brought up how a while ago she said if I wanted to split sandwiches with me because they were both sounding good, and I agreed, and she said that I had to pay her $1.50 since her sandwich was like $3 more than mine. The math is a little weird there. Nadine got super defensive and said again that she works hard for her money and she doesn't just give it away, and if we have a problem with it, too bad. This whole thing has left a bad taste in my mouth. I have never had a friendship like this. Money has always just passed between friends without issue. And for me personally, while I don't do this, and none of my friends really do, even if someone who made less money than me didn't pay me back for some things, I wouldn't chase them down. But am I the a-hole, and was I wrong to say something to her about it? Have you had a friend like this before?
No. Well, here's the thing from my experience. And, well, you can chime in because my experience are with like, well, you know, we do food together.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, if anything, I'm usually the person who like promptly pays people back down to the cent.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I'm like, we must count every penny, but more just because I don't know. It just feels like if Sandra and I were gonna go out and eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she paid, I wouldn't like I'm usually like, I feel like same thing vice versa with us. Like if I paid or vice versa, Sandra's usually the first to be like, oh, here's the money back.
We pay each other back pretty fast.
Yeah. Like I feel like amongst us and our friends, like at least on my side, I never had an issue like that. Although I will say I have had an awkward issue where I've gone out to pay and eat with some friends and they forget. So then I feel awkward because I'm like, and it's like a big meal. So I'm like, it's like, I feel weird for bringing it up because on my side, it's always like, I'm used to like,
you can't just like send a Venmo request. Is that weird?
I do. Like initially it was a little bit weird just because it wasn't like established. Because on my side, if someone ever paid for me, I'm usually the first person to be like,
yeah,
oh, how much was it? I want to pay you back like ASAP.
Yeah.
So being on the other side of it, I'm kind of curious on how their arrangement is because they said that, okay, they do this type of thing where I know some friends do it where it's like, I cover drinks today, you cover whatever activity or food tomorrow. And I've heard that sometimes that system doesn't work because it kind of gets dicey because things aren't always equal in value.
Yeah.
Now, I'm wondering, is this a situation where, okay, is she like this? Is the friend like this? Because she's been on the receiving end where it's like, okay, well, I took you out for food, but then you just got me back, I don't know, one Starbucks or something. You know, like then it gets weird really fast. But then on the other hand, I'm kind of like, okay, if it's a mutual agreed upon thing where you guys are like exact, because me and my friends, like, I try to be exact just because I'm like, why not? Like, I know the number, might as well. Yeah. But like between friends, like if they're like missing, I'll be honest, like $1, $2, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just like, you know?
Yeah, I have like probably 3 different takes on this.
Oh,
because I have different experiences, like 3 scenarios.
Yeah.
So me and my like oldest friend from middle school, we've been friends for like a very, very long time. So our relationship is when we go out, we do, it's similar to OP's story.
Okay.
So like she'll get dinner, I'll get like dessert. And then next time we hang out, I'll get dinner, she'll get dessert.
Yeah.
Or like if we're visiting each other, like one day she'll pick up food and then the other day I'll pick up the food. So we kind of, it's like, it's not always going to be exact amount, like dollar for dollar, penny for penny. Yeah. But at this point, like we value our friendship so much, right? That like these few dollars differences, it doesn't matter because the friendship that we hold, I think we value more.
Yeah. That
right.
makes sense.
So like 77 cents, like, you know, we're like, we've been friends for how many years? Yeah. And then honestly, like over time, friendship, like when you have a long friendship like that or an important friendship like that, you gain so much more from the friendship than those 77 cents. Like she's been there for me when I needed her. I've been there for her. You know, those times where you needed each other, like overcome the few dollar differences from these exchanges. As long as you can afford it. Now, don't be dumb about it. Right. Yeah. Like, be smart about it. If you can't afford it and you have to, like, count it to the penny, do that. But let them know, hey, like, I'm trying to keep track of my finances. Like, please, you know, I'm just, I want to be exact, right?
I also think that system works because you and your friend have a bond. Like, you guys trust each other. And I bet, like, it would be, like, it's not that you guys, like, keep track. But generally, it's not like, okay, if say you covered like, I don't know, like McDonald's one day.
Yeah.
Is your friend then gonna say on her, when it's your turn to pay, like on the next day, she's probably not gonna be like, let's go to Fogo de Chao.
Yeah.
Or like some sort of chain, like, you know, Capital Grill or
we kind
whatever.
Of naturally pick things that are about the same like price. Not on purpose, you know.
But like just it so happened.
Yeah. And like even if it was like one day happened to be more expensive than the next time, like we don't really count that. Just because like over a decade or so of friendship, like we're not going to count that. Now I had another friend who was the extreme opposite. She counted to the nickel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like there was one time where we hung out as a group of friends and she wanted it on her card, I think to earn the points, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she Venmo requested 5 cents from like everyone because she like calculated wrong.
No, you let it go.
A nickel.
Girl, no, you let it go.
5 cents. And I was like, I'm like, huh? Like a nickel? Like, but I'm like, really? I mean, you know, I didn't think about it that hard. Like I sent the 5 cents right away. That's fine. But I was just confused because I don't think I would have done that. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? This is like a little tricky topic, right? Because you don't, like, it's true, it's their money, they're owed it. But would you Venmo request someone 77 cents or 5 cents in my story?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
From
not.
each person.
Absolutely not.
Due to miscalculation.
Well, how many people, do you remember how many people?
It's like 5 people.
Okay, I'm thinking, okay, the only way this justifies anything is if, like,
Yeah.
she paid for a whole, I don't know, concert venue for, like, 100 people. I'm like, okay, well, that's, actually, no. Even then, but, like, you know, like,
yeah.
a huge enough group where it actually is that significant amount.
And then a last scenario. So me and another friend. And this is a shorter one. So like we hang out and then we'll Venmo request each other. But like there are times when she doesn't remember, right? For weeks or maybe months. And then like I think that's when it's like awkward to bring up, you know?
Yeah, see, okay. At that point, like, you feel weird for bringing it up.
Because it's been so long, yeah.
But then the other person has a responsibility, I feel like, to help.
And it's not cheap. It's not 5 cents. If it was 5 cents, I'd let it go.
Right.
Like, but yeah. So it's been like different. I mean, you know, eventually they get around to it, but I do feel that awkwardness of like bringing it up. So, guys, what would you do? Because I feel like there's so many different takes on this that you can go with. What is your take?
Okay, I feel like
you were saying you like usually you're the one who will send the exact amount.
Yeah, I send the exact amount though, just because I don't like the feeling of owing someone, right? And if I know the exact amount, I'm gonna pay. Although there have been instances where like friends and I, if we were in a big group, right, and someone paid, and I don't know because I couldn't see the receipt and I couldn't find the menu or like an activity we did, I at least try to I tend to Google like wherever we went or whatever, try to see their most updated price list I can find, include taxes and everything. And I usually take the initiative to send them. And if they're like, oh, no, you're missing like a few dollars, I would send them right away. That's fine because I feel like that's my philosophy. I'm like, if I owe someone, I kind of want to make sure like, you know, I pay them right. But if it's the reverse, I'm kind of like, that's a few dollars. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I would feel some sort of way because there have been friends where I felt awkward where I'm like, it's been like a month and I forgot about it, but I paid for it, you know?
Yeah, but especially if it's like, okay, what's like a proper amount to like not let go of? Like at what point do you not let go? At what amount?
I'll be honest, over like 10. Is that weird? Over 10, honestly. Because I'm like, anything under 10, I'm like, like, but it's like above 10, it's usually like 20 some then or 30 some. And then I'm kind of like, I feel awkward. Please don't put me in this situation.
I know, yeah.
Like, just pay me back.
How do you guys handle these situations? It's like we can't be the only ones going through it, right?
I feel I've had the opposite. So we have one friend, mutual friend, right? I asked them to help get a boba tea kit, and it's funny because it's the reverse situation. I chased him down basically, and I was like, "Okay, how much was it? Can I send you money?" And he's like, "No, don't worry about it." I'm like, no, because part of me feels like. My worries. I watched an episode of Big Bang Theory before. And there's an episode where Sheldon, the main character, basically goes, he's not the best example for social like handling of matters, okay? But sometimes he has points. So I think it was Penny or some other character that got him a gift, right? And he had made it clear he doesn't celebrate this occasion. I forgot. Maybe it's his birthday or whatever. And basically he said, you haven't given me a gift. You gave me an obligation. Which is the funniest thing. It's pretty funny. But the idea is that he didn't feel comfortable, like, now, like, doing gifting types of things.
Because it's like, now I have to get you something.
Yeah. And if you don't, it's kind of like they'll say no, but at the same time, you feel weird because you accepted something, and now it's weird, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, it kind of gets weird in the sense of, like, I've offered people, like, food before, and I've bought them food before, right? But then I'm like, oh God, did I just give them an obligation? Because now they're going to feel weird about not getting me something. And now we're in the cycle, like back and forth. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done?
That is really awkward. I think we handle it pretty well. Like,
I think so.
Yeah. It's like, I'll bring a snack, you'll make a snack, or like, you know.
I think it kind of happened very naturally with us.
Yeah. Though. A lot of times, like, I'll be in a store, and if I think, you know, this will be good to bring, like a good snack to bring, I'll just bring it.
Yeah, like I feel the same way. Like it happens very naturally or it doesn't feel forced, you know? It has to be a mutual agreed upon thing.
Yeah.
Not that Sandra and I were like shaking hands in the back of, all right, you bring a snack, I bring a snack. But it's like, okay, I remember the first time you brought something and I was like, oh, that's so nice. And so the next time I went somewhere, I think like to a pastry shop, I was like, you know, I think she would enjoy this. So then I got it. But it wasn't like we were like out here calculating like, okay, she brought 5 buns, so now I need to bring like a roll cake in between or whatever.
And the cost of this snack is like, you know, like the cost of it. So now I have to bring this like.
It's never that.
I think it gets too tiring to like.
To calculate?
Yeah.
I was going to say with how long we've known each other, we haven't known each other for that long though. But it's like.
It's been long and not that long at the same time. Yeah.
Like, we know each other well enough that I don't feel like we're like out here like the calculations of how much she brought over today is not equivalent.
Like runs a receipt.
Oh my goodness. A friendship receipt?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, like with my first friend that I mentioned. After a while, it's like our friendship means more than 77 cents.
Yeah. I feel like they should have done this thing where it's like, just do exact. If you're going to be this exact, just keep it the same, you know? Because
Yeah.
if you establish like you pay, I pay thing, and you're like this level of like you want detail, you might as well just split half or whatever.
They should have just done it, like
Yeah.
calculated it from the beginning if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell us how you guys handle this within your own friend groups. Oh, we talked so long. I forgot to open the comments.
We are the comments. We have occupied.
We are the comments. Okay, but let's at least get to a quick comment.
Yeah, I want to see what people thought. It'll be interesting to see if they have any stories too.
Comment says, why do you bother sharing costs if settling up afterwards is such a drama? Just stop consolidating your bills and this problem goes away. Quote, no Nadine, buy your own stuff and I'll buy mine. So yeah, just buy your own things, right?
Yeah. So then also, I have a question. Why make it so complicated? You could just do it for food, but for little things like $1.
Yeah.
Now you're just making it complicated. Just, I don't know, maybe do just food or just do it down to a cent for everything else.
And then someone else says, not the a-hole, I'm Dutch. We have a well-deserved reputation for being frugal, and even I think this is uncalled for. You don't nickel and dime your friends.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. I mean,
it's also the principle.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like I'm really confused as to what the right way to like go about it is, because you know, like, yeah, it's true. If they're owed like that money, they should get it. But you know, friendship, I don't know. Like, I'm really curious to hear how everyone else handles it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like right now, I think we're leaning more on like, not the a-hole. You know, don't nickel and dime your friends, like the last comment said. So let us know your thoughts on today's story below. We had 3 stories, all with like money related. You know, like it's definitely gets in the way of relationships. So we would like to hear how you guys would handle each of these situations.
Tell us your judgments below. And don't forget to like this video if you're listening to us on YouTube, and hit the subscribe button, guys. Help us get to 5K.
And don't forget to rate us 5 stars on Spotify. Talk to you later.
Bye.